It's the OCG Fam Show. Should you water all the way to runoff? It's a tough question. Let's talk about it. Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show to you, my YouTube buddies. What's going on? How's everybody doing out there? We're getting closer to your questions episode, so get some questions in the comments for that. Today's show, should you water until runoff? Now, we've talked about this a bunch of times, just like most things we've talked about a bunch of times. But, it's different for every person. And so it's been hard for Scott to make a real blanket statement about what you should do because it varies. But today's clip was from last Viewer Questions episode when he talks a little bit about if you should or shouldn't, but more from the philosophy of deciding why you should or shouldn't. And I thought it was a good clip, so I'd like you to watch it, and I'll talk to you after. Adam Budd. Okay, so this is my first grow with Nectar of the Gods, for the gods, of the gods. So my question is, when watering a plant in a 3-gallon pot, how much water do I give? Do I water until I have runoff or just enough to where I'm barely getting runoff? So, a lot of that matters probably on how often you water, doesn't it?
I mean, generalizing the question, should I water to runoff every time? It's up to you and how your plants are growing and all. I mean,
soil.
I hate making comments and statements to these questions because I don't want people to be like, well, that's the way it is. And it's not. I know guys who watered a 20% runoff every single time they water and feed, but they water and feed once to twice a week. I personally like to feed far more aggressively because I'm looking to get my switch over quicker. I want to get into bloom faster, and then I want to be aggressively feeding throughout bloom.
Sure.
So I follow the less is more, less volume more often. So instead of giving them a gallon to run off 10% out of the bottom, I give them a quart, which means in a day or two I'm going to have to feed them another quart. The theory behind that is if you're watering it to saturation, the roots kind of tend to want to get a little lazy in the earlier stages because they're always completely surrounded and saturated with water. So the roots don't ever really have to go find anything. They don't have to go find nutrition. They're just anchored in and absorbing. Where if you let them kind of run from wet to dry or moist to dry, what happens is the roots start digging and looking for more water and more nutrition when they start to dry out to save themselves. And then you come in and rescue with a little bit more moisture every other day. Well, in a very short period of time, you can develop a much larger root mass, so then you can feed them way more aggressively in the flower stage. So it really boils down to, as a new grower, I would follow the water to runoff. Once they're established, water to runoff, so you're never having like nutrient buildup, salt buildup, or some type of imbalance occurring because you're always pushing it down when you water to runoff.
Okay. What do you think of that? Helpful? Informative? Useful? What do? Do you water to runoff? Do you not? Do you do sometimes, not others? Let's talk about that in the comments. Any questions you have for the next Viewer Questions episode, and just anything in general. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. The OCG Fam Show. It's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.